Okay, so it looks as though PlayStation VR 2, which is a PlayStation 5 only headset right now, is set to receive its support for PC imminently. There's an adapter coming out. Looks like I've seen some people on YouTube have already got it somehow and are testing it out. There's going to be an app for Steam as well to make the headset compatible with Steam VR, I suspect. And what's happening now is that all of this is happening in concert with a price cut for the headset. So, it's been as low as £330 in the UK. That's obviously the full complete set with the controllers as well. The adapter is coming soon for £50, and it looks as though it's being accompanied by a pretty big uptick in sales, which is great potentially. Oliver, I'm going to come to you on this one. What do you make of all of this? I think ultimately Sony has to reduce the price of the headset for two reasons. First of all, it's not selling, obviously. Secondly, in the PC space, there is a major player there, Meta, with the MetaQuest headsets, which are very, very attractively priced, and of course work as standalone units. So in a sense, to become more competitive, PSVR 2 has to have that price cut, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very positive, the price cut. You have to wonder what hardware adoption might have looked like if this had been the price out of the gate. Obviously, that's probably not feasible. With respect to the MetaQuest headsets, I think it's a bit of an uphill battle because the Quest is so good as an independent headset. Yep. And the actual quality of the Quest display, when you compare it against PSVR 2, you're losing the HDR support on PC, right? So that's a huge advantage that you're losing. And in that case, I think John would certainly agree that the MetaQuest display is better in that case because you're getting that really nice low persistence and it looks pretty good. Obviously, you're losing out on the perfect blacks of the PSVR 2, but at least that advantage is gone. So it's probably not that big of a deal to step over to MetaQuest 3 at the least. But this price deal does seem to be region specific. I checked in Canada and it's still $820.
Okay,
Canadian.
Right. So no immediate plans to purchase.
No, well, I have one, but
okay,
yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I haven't used mine in certainly this year. I haven't used it, and I'm just assuming it's kind of a dying platform because there's not very much first-party support. I mean, it's like Horizon GT7 and a game called Firewall Ultra. And I think there was a report that said there might be one or two more games from Sony itself, but nothing huge. I think the upcoming lineup looks weak, even relative to the original PSVR, which did not see the most compelling lineup. There was some like little gems in there. Like I think the port of Doom 3 was pretty fun, even towards the end of that platform's life cycle. But certainly here you aren't really seeing too much that's like really interesting. And I just can't imagine this thing having that much of an exciting lineup into 2025 or 2026. So it's just, I think they're in a tough situation. I think it's probably better to just say, here's an option to play on PC. Here's a bit of a price cut to clear out some inventory, and that's that. So I don't know what they'll do with it in the future. It's a bit of an awkward situation, but I don't think it's seen that level of market permeation that is actually going to lead to some really compelling PSVR 2 software. I just think it's not there.
Yeah, I agree. It's been a really bizarre sort of situation to release a headset that is actually really, really good, but then not really support it. I mean, there are some standout experiences on there, like Gran Turismo, for example. But you're right, Oliver. The first party support just hasn't been there. There has been some interesting stuff from Capcom with ports for Resident Evil and whatnot, but it does feel like we're overall getting less support for this than PSVR 1, which in turn didn't actually do great for Sony. I don't know what to make of this. Is it the beginning of a resurgence for PSVR 2, or is it simply a way to manage the decline and effectively end of life the product just by making sure what they've made gets out there into as many different hands as possible, and possibly maybe get some PC users possibly to sample PS5 if there's some extra games there they can try out. while also enjoying it on their PCs. Yeah, it's an uphill struggle for them because obviously it's a wired solution as well, whereas you can go wireless with MetaQuest on its PC support. It's wireless anyway because it's an entirely independent system for its own internal titles. So it's a bit of an uphill struggle. We do need to check out this adapter though, and I'd love for John just to do, even just a hands-on video to see what he thinks of it. But I think, he's pretty much in the MetaQuest camp at this point, even though it does have those OLED displays. He's been talking a lot about motion clarity as well on the MetaQuest side of things. Tom, I'm not even sure if you've played PSVR 2 at all, but curious if you've got any thoughts on this.
No, I'm looking at it as an outsider, really, but I think the writing was on the wall when the sales were as low as they were, and the lack of games, the content wasn't forthcoming. It kind of feels like a catch-22 chicken and egg situation where the third-party developers needed to see the sales, but the sales weren't very high to begin with. So really, it's on Sony to have been there to push forward with a lot of solid first-party efforts and support for it, which hasn't been forthcoming either. So it's been a very strange project, especially like to see from the sidelines. Like I was actually thinking of getting one myself because I was so excited. I think it was during a slightly quiet stretch in the gaming schedule when it was released, and I was thinking, yeah, I could get into PSVR 2. That could be fun. And then I looked at what was actually on there supported, and I thought, nothing. I don't have anything to go on here. And that's remained the case pretty much since. I just to justify the price. Now, when it comes to PC, I think the fact that the value proposition of buying a headset with all that hardware in, the eye tracking, the sort of haptic feedback and all the rest, and the HDR support, to not have those features enabled on PC and to then have to pay a further like $60 to access this hardware feels like a poor proposition to me. Like, it'll be great for the dev scene, I think, for people to get their hands on it, and maybe there will be an audience that developers that want to support PSVR 2, they can tap into a larger audience on PC and justify the costs of producing it for that way. But it does seem, like it's too little too late on several fronts. The price drop and the PC support should have been there day one, and it would have made a big difference, I think.
Right. Yeah, I'm not sure it's great news for PSVR 2 beyond the fact that you can play it on a PC and therefore have access to more games if you already own one. It's tricky. And also, some of these features that are supported on PSVR, they're not insignificant to implement. The foveated rendering, for example. We've been seeing some quite open posting from Hello Games' Martin Griffiths recently, and they spent months on adding foveated rendering to No Man's Sky for the PSVR 2. And, they're thrilled with the results, but obviously the amount of investment it took to get there was quite significant. We're going to check it out, I guess. We'll see how PSVR 2 works on PC. We'll get an idea, hopefully from John, as to whether his feelings about MetaQuest as being the best price versus performing headset for PC is going to remain the case.